Breaking the wall to people-driven urban intelligence. Lovro, Koncar, Gamulin. Technische Universität, Wien, Austria.
All right. Whenever I get to a new city, I always ask people where to go and what to avoid. What I don't do is look at climate reports or data of any kind, because I learn more about the place from people than from any data sets. And I always wondered why urban planning doesn't work like this. So I spent the past 10 years studying cities, and I learned one thing. If you want to understand how climate impacts our streets, you must listen to people who walk these streets every day. Take Alexanderplatz. Some of you probably even crossed it today. Did you find it empty, exposed, uncomfortable even? Well, if you did, you're not the only one. Because with no greenery, no shade or weather protection, Alexanderplatz becomes a heat island in summer and the wind corridor in winter. Its design makes climate effects even worse. And in cities everywhere, climate adaptation is driven by data. But the way a place feels stays invisible. And we do measure the climate, don't get me wrong, but not how heat affects the way we move or how a sense of comfort decides where we want to spend time. So what this all means is that for too long, there's been a wall between how cities are designed and how they are lived. So at city layers, we break this wall by measuring how places actually work for people. And we do it in 3 simple steps. So first, we engage people to share their experience of the city. And to map what really matters, we look at different layers of each place, like heat, accessibility, shade, comfort, and even trees and benches. So all the things people instantly see or feel about the climate. Then people use our digital mapping tools to document this. And the tools they use are super simple, and they actually give us a lot of data, which allows us to measure how a place actually feels. And this is where individual experience becomes measurable evidence of climate impact tied to a certain place. So finally, our interactive maps bring all of these layers of data together into what we call place intelligence. And this is essentially knowledge about places that cities need and use for climate adaptation and for people-driven design. And these are not just ideas. So we already reached more than 10,000 people in city mapping projects across Austria, Greece, Croatia, and beyond. We've mapped heat islands with health-impaired people in Vienna. We documented mobility barriers with the visually impaired groups across Austria. We even collected ideas from thousands of children to improve comfort on their way to school. Now, we always prioritized underrepresented groups to actually be able to put climate vulnerability on the map. And in Greece, our approach was used to regenerate a vital city park in Kalamata. And we invited all people to map microclimate, shade, and movement. And we were able to turn their opinions and their thoughts into a clear community-led roadmap for improvement. These heat maps show exactly how climate and how climate change appears in specific spots in the city. This is the reason why City Layers brings a new and a better way for understanding our cities and for shaping them in the future, because it happens together with people. And now in this spirit of collaboration, we built City Layers as open science. Through our 3 prototypes, 30 cities and more than 10,000 people, we learned how to make it super simple for everybody to access urban knowledge. And this is huge, because at the end of the day, it's not just cities that have to adapt to climate change, it's essentially all of us, right? And we've shown real impact through citizen science awards, 7 research projects, keynote speeches, publications, you name it. But most importantly, through countless community engagement activities. And during this time, we learned that architects and planners need us as well. They need our help, because they're legally required to involve communities in most of their projects, but they often don't get it right. And being an architect myself, let me tell you, we're not trained to talk to people. We don't know how to do it. We're not good at it particularly. But when they don't do it right and when they fail, they actually face severe consequences like public opposition, frequent project redesigns, and costly delays. So what started as a research project now became a TU Wien University spin-off, where we actually help cities, where we actually help architects and planners involve communities into design and involve communities into climate adaptation. because I genuinely believe that we all hold vital knowledge about our cities. So guys, if you care as well, please join us and let's break every wall to people-driven urban intelligence together. Thank you. Yeah, all right.
Yep. So, the sigh of relief.
Oh, yeah. It
So
was
we
in
have
one breath.
questions. We have questions there. Please, can you get the mic? Yes.
Thank you so much. I have a question regarding the transition from your project to the real urbanism in that sense. Are the layers somehow connected? And then second question is, how is the engagement of the people who are participating really torn into that? No?
Oh, yeah.
Because this is always a problem in urbanism, I think.
Oh, 100%. I mean, for the first question, we really tied to the early days of the SDGs, even where we found that like we have global problems like mobility, climate, pollution, and so on. But the only way to actually tackle them is through like very localized and site-specific solutions. So we actually use our city layers concept as a romantic concept kind of in the beginning to kind of contextualize these problems related to mobility, for instance, or in this case to climate change, into a set of easily understandable indicators or layers of our cities and of our places that anybody can understand and map, you know? So that was kind of the idea in the beginning. And we actually found that like the data that we are collecting and that we have collected thus far can actually be used as a basis for spatial interventions, like we did in Kalamata, like we did in Greece. So this was a way for citizens to actually be involved in urban planning in a better way. And it's not just a romantic idea, because when you look at public opposition as a topic, it's a huge topic in Germany, in Austria, in all of Europe, in all of the Western world, for instance. The thing is that you have a quarter of housing projects experiencing public opposition, 33% of energy projects, and up more than a half of all big projects. So people do care about their surroundings, and we can translate actually their thoughts into actual solutions, right?
Well, thank you for the presentation and the idea. I really like it. I'm just wondering, because you use heat as an example, and I know like heat map you can actually collect from satellite photo, and then you will know how the heat allocate, etc. So, and then you also mentioned you collect like how people feel actually in the places. So I wonder what differences the response you receive, like from the heat map, you know that particular spots are hotter than others. Then did the questionnaires actually give you additional insights of those?
Oh yeah, the difference is actually, in our opinion, huge. So we really focus on subjective knowledge as an equally valuable counterpart to like whatever we measure with our devices. Like a thermometer can actually tell you how many degrees Celsius is it here. But I think each and every one of you could probably tell you more about perceived heat and perceived like feeling of temperature. And this is how we actually measure perceived climate resilience, because it's not only about heat, it's about wind flow, it's about surface temperature, it's about materials, it's about how we perceive anything. And like connecting heat to a sense of like duration, how long are you walking? This gets really important over time, especially for people who have health impairments or something like this. So this is how we measure how a place actually works and what are the needs of a certain place, because it reflects on the needs of the actual people who are measuring it, right? So yeah.
Well, you had my you go
sure.
I make it short. Lovro, have you the action when it comes to city planning?
Oh yeah.
Is this action you have to take, or based on, let's say, the society you have been working with? Have you been actively approached by city planners, for example?
Oh yeah, 100%. So our team, we worked already for 4 years. We all come from city planning, urban planning, and architecture. So we are in the industry, so to speak. And we were approached by city governments. We were approached by architects and, for instance, placemakers as well, who are known to do participatory planning approaches, but they don't have the tools and they don't necessarily have the know-how, right? Always, because like connecting city mapping as a concept, which is known already, with new digital tools and new digital approaches makes all the difference. So we know that we can, for instance, not only license our tools, because the tools are the embodiment of our approach, right, of our methodology, which is unique. And we can only not license these tools, but we can also license the data afterwards, which gives us a huge flexibility, and we can decide, all right, we as a team of researchers now decide to measure this in this spot. And then we license the data to anybody who actually needs it, right? Yes.
Thank you for bridging transdisciplinary approaches.
Yeah.
My question is, you're requiring citizens to give you variables to benefit citizens. What are they learning about the science behind this on urbanism, architecture, public spaces, and climate change?
They're learning a lot about spatial data production. They're learning a lot about the data literacy, about understanding location data, maps, and the knowledge that was previously only for GIS experts now is accessible to everybody through city layers. That's our idea. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, 1 second.
All right. I wanted to stay now.
No.